In 2020, as I was preparing to graduate from college from my living room, I got a phone call from my good friend and former college soccer teammate, Omri. The year before, or back in 2018, Omri had gotten a social impact grant from our college, Swarthmore, to start an after school program called Design FC. Design FC was based in nearby Chester, and the whole idea was to let kids design their own soccer jerseys to represent who they are. Omri was calling because he wanted my help with one of his students to design the basketball court outside of his school. My background is in art. I have a lot of experience in graphic design. I know Photoshop and Illustrator. I'm a lifetime soccer fan. And I was like, yeah, man, of course, would love to help out. So the next day, I'm on a Zoom call with a sixth grader from Chester named Nirel. I have my Photoshop screen shared, and he's designing this court. Of course, it's gold and purple for the Lakers. It's got Kobe Bryant's numbers, and it has flames and lightning, because what kid does not like flames and lightning? Nirel was really excited. I was really excited. The court obviously looked amazing, but most importantly, it was exactly how he wanted it to look. I'd spent my life designing millions of things, mostly in my free time, but this project felt different, and something inside me clicked. Fast forward 5 years, and Design FC is now Omri and I's full-time job. Design FC Design FC has worked with some of the biggest names in the sport, design, and tech industries. We've brought our programming to over 1,000 kids in 16 cities in the US and UK. And last week, we wrapped up our 7th year of programming in Chester at the same elementary school where Omri started the program in 2018. I've always loved soccer jerseys, and as a kid, I spent endless hours teaching myself Photoshop just so that I could design my own. I learned over those countless hours that the best way to learn a skill is by using it for something that you're passionate about. At Design FC, we ask our students to reflect deeply on what means most to them, the people they love, the changes they want to make in the world. These are difficult questions to answer for adults, let alone fifth graders. But because we're asking them to do it through the design of a jersey that they get to take home, the process becomes a lot easier. I'm going to zoom out. The importance of art education is clear. Studies show that students who engage with the arts at an early age have much better academic outcomes. Students from low-income backgrounds who participate in the arts are 5 times as likely to graduate from high school. Of course, the kids who would benefit the most from arts programming often have the least access. And it's a common story that across the US, when school districts lose funding, often art is the first thing to get cut. This is the case in Chester, which is one of only 2 cities in the US to declare bankruptcy. The poverty rate is 30%, and the school district has been under state receivership for the last several years. For students in Chester, having a career in fashion or design isn't really something they're thinking about, not because of a lack of interest, but because of a lack of pathways. Despite the odds, Chester is also home to a thriving arts community. Over the last several years, community leaders, artists, and designers have bought up a lot of property in downtown Chester and turned it into a growing creative hub. Through our work at Design FC, we are bridging the gap between this growing arts movement and the school district. Over the last 7 years, Design FC has become a pillar not only in the school that we work at, but also in the city as a whole. I'm going to go back to 2020. This was the 2nd year of Design FC that went online. And out of the 20 students who started the program, there were only 4 who finished and designed their jerseys. Two of them were Nirel, who you met earlier, and his cousin Kev. As these kids were entering the third year of Design FC, which was going to be an entirely virtual year, we knew that we needed to find a new way to engage them. Later that year, we had a meeting that would change their lives, our lives, and the trajectory of the organization. Through a friend of the program, we got connected to EA Sports. We hopped on a Zoom call with them during the pandemic, shared the story of Design FC, and shared the story of our students. They were super into it, and they said at the very, very least, we could put some of your students' designs in FIFA. I don't know how many people have experienced, maybe their kids have been playing FIFA for a while, but in April of 2021, Kevin and Irel's designs were put in FIFA Ultimate Team, becoming available for millions of people around the world to see their work and have their Ultimate Teams wear these jerseys. This moment completely changed how Kevin and Nirel viewed themselves, their creative abilities, their futures, and their relationship to their city. For us, this was also a moment where we were like, oh man, this has a lot of potential, I think, that we had not completely seen before. EA is a billion-dollar company, but for them to put 2 custom jerseys in their video game is nothing. It's super easy. But again, for the kids, it completely changes their lives. So we thought if we can take just a small percent of the resources, exposure, and platform that some of these industries hold, we can make a huge impact on kids around the US. Later that year, we decided to fully dedicate ourselves to Design FC. We began the process of becoming a nonprofit, and we launched our second ever program, the Design FC Academy. The Design FC Academy was built entirely around Kevin. The pandemic lockdown had really hit him hard. He wasn't able to hang out with his friends. He stopped playing sports, but designing had become this huge staple for him in his life. At the time, Design FC had no money. We had run out of our original $10,000 grant from 2018. So we decided to pool our money, buy Kev a MacBook, drafted up a Design FC Academy contract, and started teaching him Adobe Illustrator. As Kev grew, we grew the program around him. Kev wanted to learn embroidery. We took him to a studio in Chester, and he learned embroidery. If Kev wanted to go to New York, we bought train tickets to New York. Many, many years ago, Kev said that his dream was to become a designer, but to have people work for him so he didn't really have to do anything. And let's just say that came true, I think, a lot sooner than we thought. Fast forward to today, Kev's now in 11th grade. He's been with Design FC for 7 years. He's launched his own personal brand. He travels with us to facilitate projects. And every week in Chester, he returns to our elementary school to mentor the younger students. Watching Kev grow over the years has been a constant reminder for me that when you give kids the resources and tools they need to succeed, the sky is truly the limit. Last year, when Kev decided to launch his own personal brand, we connected him with one of the biggest streetwear brands in the world, Kith. Over the course of 2 days, we took Kev to New York, did a 2-day photo shoot at their studio, and thanks to Kith's foundation, we were able to provide him with creative mentorship sessions with a variety of people at the brand. Students from Chester don't work at companies like Kith. And yet, here we were with an 11th grader who was becoming the first ever youth designer that Kith had highlighted in this way. When we introduce kids to design at the age of 9, we're not only giving them a creative outlet, but by treating them as professional athletes, professional designers, and creative directors, we're also helping them see themselves in these fields. After 1 year of Design FC, 75% of our students in Chester can see themselves as professional designers in the future. When I was an art student at WIS, I had an amazing teacher, Miss Amula. And I don't know, maybe some of you had her also. But the best thing about Miss Amula and my art experience at WIS was that while the teachers were giving us frameworks and ideas and things to think about, it was entirely on us to find our own solutions. When you step into a Design FC classroom, whether it's in a school or a professional sports stadium, the same thing rings true. We're giving our students full creative control over the things that they're designing and the stories that they're telling. This fall, we added our latest Design FC Academy student. Alicia is a 7th grader from Chester, and she's been in Design FC for 3 years. Last year, as part of our first ever international project, the Youth Creative Collective, Alicia represented Chester in a global project that connected kids from around the world through sport and design. Alicia loves design, she loves painting, and she loves basketball. So as she entered 7th grade, just as with Kevin and Nyrel, we needed a new way to engage her. So we found her a professional women's basketball designer who's done a lot of work with Adidas and the WNBA, and she is now mentoring Alicia to design her own basketball collection. Last month, Alicia got invited by Gotham FC, which is the professional women's soccer team in New York, to represent Design FC as their ceremonial pregame torchbearer before their Fashion Day themed game. This was an amazing opportunity for Alicia to showcase her work, for her family to get to come to New York to go to a soccer game, and again, a really amazing chance for Design FC. There was just one issue. This plan came together at the last minute, as a lot of these things do, and we needed some Design FC hoodies that Alicia had made to give her and her family to wear to the game and to give to some of the Gotham players. The only issue was I was traveling that weekend, didn't have a heat press, wasn't sure what to do, so of course, I called Kev. Within 24 hours, he had 9 hoodies heat pressed in a box, ready for me to pick up outside his house on the way to meet Alicia at the game. This was a crazy full circle moment for me. This was a kid that I've been working with for 5 or 6 years, and now as the next generation is getting ready to take this huge step in their design journeys, it's Kev who's helping them bring their vision to life. This fall, Kev's going to start applying to college for fashion design. He's got a portfolio full of professional athletes, brand collaborations, his own clothing brand, photo shoots, years of educating kids in design, and we think he's got a pretty good shot. Last spring, I made a really difficult decision after 4 years of running all of Design FC's programs in Chester to leave Philly and move to New York to focus on growing the bigger organization. When I left, I handed over the day-to-day operations to our amazing 5th grade teacher, Ms. Zamansky, who's been with Design FC since day one, and her right-hand man and graphic design expert, Coach Kev. Last Wednesday, I was in Chester for our final showcase, and before the students got on stage to present, I was talking to some of the parents. The thing that stood out to me most was not just that all of their kids want to be designers when they grow up, but that the parents, having seen students like Kev go through Design FC, see it as a legitimate pathway for a career. Of course, our program is still very driven by the kids, so on Friday, we'll be taking our group of 4th and 5th graders to New York to go visit the NBA and WNBA offices, to learn about creative careers, and to sit in seats that they may one day work in. Over the last 5 years, it's been a pretty amazing journey, and I can't wait to see where the students take us next. Thank you.